Hello everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today we are going to somehow try and digest through the form of memes and potentially me weeping the Canadian Grand Prix, a race we have deserved for so long. I cannot believe half the things that we witnessed throughout this race. It was twists, it was turns, it was weather, it was strategy, it was Ferrari, it was everything. Your memes were amazing, let's dive into them. Oh, Ferrari. Now, I know a lot of you will be tuning in for this specific segment, so I thought I'd start it off pretty much straight away. Because Ferrari, off the back of Monaco, one of the best weekends, at least. Well, I mean, look, they were both on the podium. Of course, Charles Leclerc took the headlines because he won the Monaco Grand Prix. Can you see how I'm kind of diverting the attention back to 2 weeks ago? Now, let's talk about Canada then, shall we? At Steph the Greek, what an absolute horror show of a weekend for Ferrari after the double podium and looking so dominant in Monaco. Now, I was not under the illusion. No, maybe I was, if you watch predictions. But if you didn't watch predictions, I was not under the illusion that Ferrari would dominate around Canada. I thought they would be quick, don't get me wrong. I genuinely believed that they would be right up there fighting for the win. And they were not. They were rubbish in qualifying and the race. Double DNF. Monaco feels like 20 years ago. At crispy_crouton, Leclerc going to the strategy department after the race. No, it didn't start very well, did it? Of course, starting down in 11th for Charles Leclerc. And then almost immediately having engine problems. And look, wet races, there's always a chance. Okay, you're losing half a second down the straight after literally Charles having to ask, but what is going on? What am I losing? You can't just be wishy-washy with it. Half a second on the straights. Okay, manageable maybe to score some points. And then the strategy happened where you blink and Charles Leclerc is a minute off the back of the pack on hard tyres whilst it's raining. At Crystal Horner, Monaco curse could only be stopped for so long. So what you're saying here is that it was a delayed Monaco curse. And my God, did it come in full force. Will I take that? Yes. If we had to choose between the two weekends, of course. But 31 points was the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen. And you're thinking, ooh, maybe. I'm wearing a Ferrari top. And I feel obviously proud to wear it, but also incredibly emotional and vulnerable. At Inferno the Fox. Oh, hard on a wet track. Lapped by the leaders. I still was holding on to something because in the commentary they were saying, look, Jenson Button on lap 40, he was in last place and ended up winning the Canadian Grand Prix. It hit lap 40. Charles Leclerc was off the back by a minute. And that was when I thought, maybe. But alas, he DNF'd. And Carlos Sainz was out as well for good measure. Yeah, a weekend to definitely forget. Ferrari have been so efficient this year. Let's not turn it into Canada for any more races this year, please. I cannot do this again. At Nick Stone, just Charles Leclerc casually rebooting his steering wheel in the pit lane. Windows XP. Yes. I did find it, funny that he would literally he was rebooting his car in the pit lane and then they come over the radio and say, we think it's fixed. What do you mean think? How do you, with your 12 billion lines of telemetry, why are we only thinking here? And then it clearly wasn't fixed because they had to DNF him anyway. And that's his streak gone. I have just this second processed the fact that Charles Leclerc's top 4 streak is finished. I'm not okay. At Chris Gaming NL, Matt, when you ask him about what happened during the 2024 game. Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Chris. Don't ask me. Don't ever ask me again. After this, well, not this recording, the podcast has to happen. Then after driver ratings, deleted from the memory. At Dr. I'm a Chuck. Now, this one's quite small screenshot, so hopefully the editor's going to do some magic to actually show what the messages are here. But there are genuine people out there texting about problems for Leclerc and obviously laughing faces reacting to the fact that they're watching our stream and then there's nothing else to do than to tune in. How many of you did that this weekend? Q2, knockout, big spike. Same for the race. Although that was a slightly more sort of prolonged pain. Q2 was like immediate. But either or, how many of you think about me when Charles Leclerc has a problem? And I'm sorry to all Twitch viewers that I told to F off when they came in. At Minoru79, Charles Leclerc driving the hard tyres through the rain. He was screwed. He was just told, keep it on the track. Just keep it on the track. Why don't you get in the car then, mate? I mean, did you see the amount of rain that was coming down? Yes. It was supposed to be for a short amount of time. But my God, that was a dice roll and a half from Ferrari. Like, yeah, we'll just stick him out there. On the least grippy tyres in those conditions. On the hards. Yeah, just figure it out, Charles. At F1 Friends 2023, friend, how unlucky are you? Me, Charles Leclerc. I will say, aside from Monaco, where everything went to plan, that is usually what Charles Leclerc is like. Surprisingly, there's a couple more. At cursed_cupcake, an index to different types of headaches. Oh, I've never seen that before. That is quite something. And then to finish the Ferrari memes, at ZurFC, cannot believe Ferrari double DNF. So what are you predicting for Barcelona? Championship back on. You know me. If you watch the podcast, not right now. There's no delusion whatsoever. Max Verstappen's winning the championship by 200 points. Come back to me next week. Oh, Perez. So not only were Ferrari in a bit of trouble, there was another driver, Sergio Perez, who just had his contract announced until, well, it's probably, I think it's a 1+1, even though they sort of communicated it's a 2-year deal. Either way, contract announced very early. Go on, Sergio, make it happen. And he had a terrible weekend. At soft_left_tyre, Checo getting a 2-year extension and then going out in Q1 and crashing in the race. So to go out in Q1 is something around Monaco. Might be a one-off. Canada happens again. Oh dear, that's not great, is it? Then the race. Considering everything that was going on, the one, everything jumbled up, things Haas coming through, all of these things to keep an eye on, everything moving around. The one constant was Sergio Perez in 17th for a very long time in the race. In a Red Bull. It's a conversation I don't want to have because it's all the time. But Red Bull keeps signing him. And so we're like, well, is he under pressure? At Azura Light, Horner with Checo's contract. Now, I'm sure there are clauses. I'm sure there are things to get Red Bull out of a sticky situation should Sergio Perez continue to do what he's doing. But it is almost a carbon copy of what we had last year. Is there something in the air that Perez doesn't like? I don't get it. I honestly cannot figure it out because he looked so strong at the start of the year. Very consistent, right at the front. And now he is in a Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber car painted as a Red Bull. At Naffin_24, Perez just recreated this meme. Get that thing off the road, bruh. Yeah, I will be interested to see how much damage he's done to that Red Bull because, of course, there was talk about them not being able to have any more damage to the car. Otherwise, the development will be slowed down, if not halted, and spare parts and all that sort of stuff that we've heard before with Williams. And, of course, wiping out the rear wings, not ideal. And did you see as well, Lando Norris seeing the incident of Perez crashing in the wall backwards and immediately shouted Seb Vettel? That did not go down well with the Seb Vettel fans. I can tell you that one for free. I'm sure he didn't mean it horribly. But to be fair, who else thought of that? We all kind of thought of that particular moment. Of course, Vettel's was nowhere near as bad. He didn't go in backwards and he only lost first place on the last lap to Jenson Button. But still, it was same corner. Honourable mentions. At Delboy JH. George Russell's brain when there isn't a gap to overtake. Now, of course, that was a big thing, wasn't it, George Russell? Is he going to win from pole position? No. But he was in the mix. Could have easily won the race. I think that there was a chance, but he even called it an ugly race or something like that. So he knew deep down that he didn't drive a perfect race because he was quick. He really was. He had fresh tyres at the end. But my goodness me, Russell on Piastri. Now, as of time of recording, he hasn't got a penalty. Is he going to get one? I think it's touch and go, because he just turns in like Oscar isn't there. So for me, it's hard, because of course the way in which penalties are decided is not because of the consequence or the, what happens after it's the actual movement. But we know that isn't the case. And he came off worse. Piastri just carried on. So I will say probably not, but we'll see. And then, of course, George at the end did an absolutely amazing overtake on his teammate. You could tell he was chomping at the bit to get through, and that was sensational into the last chicane. At AlexHumphrey_33, Canada, you've been amazing. F1 fans watching Canada, you had rain, McLaren's first points in a decade. What am I missing there? Double Alpine points. Classic Perez, top 4 fight, Haas on full wets, Ferrari and Williams double DNF. Williams as well having a shocker. Albon very unlucky to collect signs the way he did. But Sargent. We got to put someone else in there. We do. I wouldn't be surprised if Williams just sort of cut it short and let Kimi Antonelli have a play or something. Since M. Shumi, focus George. Now, Toto Wolff, I think there is actually another meme that pretty much sums this up beautifully. Let me include it now. It is from, there it is, at Formula Latest. Toto on the radio to Russell. It was Darth Vader-like. It was, Toto coming over the radio and saying, focus, George, focus, is basically, you are quick enough to win this race, go and do it. And he did not. At Mr. Bear 15, Haas at the start of the race versus the rest of the race. They look like strategic masterclass geniuses. When K-Mag was flying through the field, at one point, I thought K-Mag was going to win the race. I didn't really, not deep down. But little rainstorm, and he could have easily taken the lead. Probably would have lost it somehow, because Haas then decided that they weren't going to have tyres ready in the pits, and they didn't even score a point in the end of all of that after having such an amazing start. And you might think, okay, well, they had to pit early, but yes, they were out of sync slightly, but they would have had fresher inters, and had they had good pit stops, they would have been a lot more in the mix. But yeah, instead they had a tale of two halves, I think, to put it politely, right? But at the beginning, my God. And I felt like commentary just weren't even sort of latching onto that. K-Mag was going faster than everybody and could have led the race. He didn't. It would have been amazing. Can you imagine K-Mag and Max Verstappen side by side? There's only one ending to that. At _SE68, Lando and Max laughing about that pit stop battle is such a cute bromance thing, isn't it? The way in which they, in the cool-down room, just watching back the race, I love that more than life itself, by the way. I genuinely think that's up there with watching the actual race, is seeing the drivers react to it. But those two laughing, Lando getting squirrely on the pit exit on the wet line, I do wonder when that's going to change. Surely one day when those two have a little wheel bang and they don't agree, then I'm interested to see that cool-down room. But all right now, it's lovey-dovey. Oh, and I've forgotten one more Ferrari one, which I should have included in the Ferrari segment, but we're going to throw it in honourable mentions. At Sakuzuki Keinu. 2022 Ferrari strategy is back. Oh, Binotto. Oh, I wonder how he is. He's probably on a vineyard with Gunther Steiner, recording another episode for Drive to Survive in 2025. Okay, it's Tommy's Tasty Tweet time. We've got Tommy on the line. Tommy, where are you calling from today, sir?
I'm calling from Ferrari Painville, actually.
Good one. Who won Tommy's Tasty Tweet, sponsored by EA and F124?
It was Dogan with this incredible tweet. More Ferrari pain. And it was actually in reference to our P1 Extra video, where we said, can Ferrari win this year's World Championship? And then had their worst race in about 5 years. So, yeah. Good jinx there.
Yeah, great jinx. So for those of you that are wondering as well, P1 Extra is our second YouTube channel. So if you want to go and watch that video where I basically hyped up Ferrari's chances of winning the entire thing. And
how they never make mistakes and they
you
always
were agreeing
the maximum.
You were agreeing.
It was true until today, when they did
Until
literally
today.
the opposite.
But yes, great meme. Well done. You win a copy of F124. And thank you, Tommy, as always, for being you. Right, that is it. Thank you so much for watching the Canadian Grand Prix funniest tweets. We're going to have a lot to talk about in the podcast, so you better tune into that. Thank you for your memes and your funny reactions. Of course, when we have banger races, I feel like less people are like kind of creating all the amazing ones. But well done all the same. Hashtag P1 if you want to get involved in a couple of weeks' time for the Spanish Grand Prix. And we will see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.